Human trafficking in America. What is human trafficking? According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. Every year, millions of men, women, and children are trafficked worldwide, including right here in the United States. It can happen in any community, and victims can be any age, race, gender, or nationality. The ways that it can happen are through violence, manipulation, or false promises of a good job or romantic relationship. Traffickers look for those who would be easily susceptible or vulnerable by evaluating their level of instability in any given category, such as mental health issues, financial issues, or lack of a social safety net and good relationships. Human trafficking is sex trafficking, but also any kind of forced labor. An example would be women being sold by a pimp for sexual acts, or children being forced to work in a sweatshop. So why is this still happening in America? We're a pretty safe country, right? According to DoSomething.org, around 50,000 people are trafficked into the U.S. from mostly Mexico and the Philippines. But this doesn't just happen to immigrants. A woman shared her own story by being trafficked by a pimp with my church a few weeks ago. This is happening in our own communities. The most common issue in stopping human trafficking is the unknown. This goes both ways. We don't recognize the issue because we don't hear about anyone we know going through it. And people who are being trafficked don't know how to get help, nor do they feel comfortable asking for help. Victims are often afraid of their traffickers, which causes them to not ask for help. Compared to other countries, America isn't the worst in human trafficking rates, but we aren't the best either. This industry generates billions of dollars a year by the abuse of human rights, and the majority of the time it goes unnoticed. So what do we do? Something that has already been established is the National Human Trafficking Hotline. This resource has anti-trafficking advocates available 24/7 to take reports of potential human trafficking. According to the Human Trafficking Hotline website, only 11,500 cases were reported in 2019. This means that there are thousands of cases that went unnoticed and yet another victim not helped. The hotline has provided a great accessible resource for help, but is not the only solution. We all know that you call 911 for emergencies without even thinking. Before I researched this injustice and before it was on the screen, I would not know who to call for help in a case of human trafficking. I think the hotline is a great step in the right direction to better help, but is not yet publicized enough, nor has it been made familiar to society. Another way we can help to stop human trafficking is by learning the signs that someone is falling victim to this injustice. Just like we learn signs for abuse or symptoms for an illness, we can be taught signs that someone is being trafficked. Labor trafficking is another type of human trafficking. It has many of the same signs as sex trafficking, in addition to a victim may be living with an employer, or have poor living conditions, or be living with multiple people in a small space, or they don't have any identification documents. It is important that we learn these signs as well. According to the Human Trafficking Hotline website, Kentucky reported 136 cases in 2019. There were likely many more that went unnoticed. By learning more about human trafficking and the signs of a victim, we can help stop this crisis. Large events like the Kentucky Derby are common places human trafficking victims are brought. Our local law enforcement tries to bring awareness to the topic every year in the weeks leading up to Derby, and they encourage people to look for these specific signs: identical branding or tattoos, traveling in groups, or people who are unable to identify what town or state they are in or where they are staying. A resource that is unique to our state is the Well of Lexington. According to their website, their mission is Home, Healing, Hope, and their purpose is to provide a holistic program of safe housing for women, recovery support, education, and healing for women and their families exploited by sex trafficking, to empower them to reach economic independence and live productive lives. To keep children and youth from falling prey to sex traffickers, the Well provides a safety and outreach program to the most at-risk youth and families in the Bluegrass. This program is helping to be somewhere victims can go to feel safe and recover and feel comfortable asking for help. Some people may think that human trafficking isn't a relevant issue because they've never heard about it happening around them, or they simply don't really know what it is. When you look at the stats of human trafficking cases and the large sums of money that the traffickers are making off of selling people as products, you cannot deny that action must be taken to control this social injustice and help save its victims from exploitation of their human rights. By better promoting helpful resources like the National Human Trafficking Hotline, increasing the number of reach of nonprofits like the Well of Lexington, and learning the signs of a human trafficking victim, we can better educate ourselves